the transfer market, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But when you're filling specific needs and winning as much as we are, is there anybody else in the Big 12 getting more critical positional replacements in the transfer portal? I don't think so.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things cowboy and cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I'll be your host today as we dive into a multitude of things. You can find us at every single podcasting platform, as well as on YouTube. You can find me specifically on Twitter at AllDayOState. We are partially brought to you today by LinkedIn Solutions. If you're looking for the right candidate at the right time to fit the right role, there's nobody better to do it than LinkedIn. So yes, if you've seen lately, I mean, we're definitely filling some massive needs. We're not just getting dudes in the transfer portal for the sake of getting dudes, regardless of where they come from, what their name is, what their star status was. We're filling specific needs, right? And it's like chess. Gundy is finally playing a little bit of chess in this transfer market. We lose the biggest loss, which is Mason Cobb. And then we immediately go grab Justin Wright. And if you look at the film, he fits a better need. Mason Cobb's certified beast. Nobody will ever say otherwise. But what we kind of failed at last year was a little bit of that tenacity, a little bit of the just fill the gap mentality and help string things out for everybody else. That is precisely what Justin Wright offers. And if you saw the episode where we had Justin Wright on the show, we got to shamelessly plug a little bit of Anthony Goodlow here, right? And if you haven't heard, obviously that's our most recent, or one of our most recent acquisitions. And we got to kind of just recruit a little bit when we had Justin on the show. They're roommates, right? What better person to deliver a sales pitch than your daggone roommate? And, after losing Trace Ford, right, it's like, okay, we have to fill this hole. We filled the hole with Mason Cobb with Justin Wright. And then we filled the hole with losing Jabbar Muhammad with Ladarius Webb Jr., as well as somebody who we're bringing on as well in Mook Harris, who is somebody that comes from Arkansas State. But if you look at the film don't lie. He has a little bit better ball skills even than Ladarius Webb Jr. Ladarius Webb Jr. is just a beast. He's an absolute stud, flying missile that'll fit in perfect with Lyric Rawls and Trey Rucker and Kendall Daniels for those guys. And Justin Wright, that they're just going to give it all. Throw their body, caution to the wind, and let's make some stuff happen. Well, Anthony Goodlow is another one that fits that mold. And because of the amount of injuries that Trace Ford had, we never really got to see his full potential. Well, now we have somebody that we know that can slide in right there. 6'4", 290, 295, could easily be 300 with a little bit of Rob Glass time. And another candidate to come in early. Guys, these holes that we're filling, I mean, they're not even massive needs, really. I mean, if you think about it, we knew we were deep at D-line. But when you lose somebody that is such a leader in a Brock Martin, and you lose somebody that does have so much potential in a Trace Ford, well, now you've got Colin Oliver, and we're all hoping Nathan Latu and Ben Kapinski come back. If you guys are listening, please do, because depth, again, this last season was the best depth we've ever seen. And now we're going to see a lot of it mature in the next season. So these transfers are here to help us bridge this gap, and we're doing it very, very, very well. So Anthony Goodlow, he was a major disruptive force, guys. He will slide in, and he will be able to contribute immediately, just like a Justin Wright. And the beauty of it is we know we have a lot of talent around these dudes. We have a lot of talent that can now even speed their learning curve up a little bit, because we're bringing in veteran dudes that know how to do it already. Does O-State do it at a different level than they come from? That's very possible. Okay, it's probable. But they know that. That's why they're coming here. Dudes are dudes when you see them on film. And these guys want to come to compete at a bigger level because they know they fit in. And it does allow us to be insanely excited. Insanely excited. And this is not even to mention the biggest get of all might be the fact of retention. As we've kind of talked about before, we do have some duty as a fan base to help with the recruiting process. And nowadays, re-recruiting is more important than high school recruiting, right? Right? Getting somebody back like a Jason Taylor II, who are you going to be able to get from high school that can immediately translate to the field like we're going to be able to get in Jason Taylor? Nobody, right? It's very simple to answer that. He is the leader. He is the captain of the back end. And now you have people like Kendall Daniels, who you knew that the talent was there. He's an NFL-ready body right here, right now. And it's so heartwarming to hear his story, right? Wanted to go achieve the biggest of the biggest at Texas A&M. And he was the biggest player to get really at the time in the state of Oklahoma. So us and OU both missed on him. And then he realized when he was at Texas A&M that everything that he wants to do, he can do in Stillwater. Conference title, we're that good. Play for a CFP Final Four, we're that good. Play for a 12-team playoff, that's going to be very simplistic, we're that good. Right? To be able to strengthen the argument, it kind of happened naturally for him. And his realization that you can be an All-American, you can go to the pros, you can do all that fun jazz at Oklahoma State University. And it's allowed other people to kind of follow suit. And JT the second is it bigger than the loss of a Mason Cobb? I think so. When you again factor in somebody like a Justin Wright that will fill that hole. When you lose a Trace Ford and then you bring in an Anthony Goodlow, boom, you fill a need. You lose Jabbar Muhammad and then you bring in Ladarius Webb Jr. and we also bring in Mookie Harris, who again a little bit better ball skills. I was watching some of his highlights. So in a second, we'll kind of break down the highlight side of things and what you expect them to bring us immediately. But I do have to mention, obviously, LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs, again, is the place that's going to be able to help you find the right people at the right times to fit the right job, right? Don't let the high stakes gamble or wager suffer for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates. This is, again, why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find the right people. It's why small business rates LinkedIn Jobs as the number one delivering and quality hires versus all leading other competitors. LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you find the most qualified candidate a lot faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com using promo code /LockedOnCollege. Again, that is linkedin.com /LockedOnCollege to post your job for free today. Terms and conditions obviously do apply. Okay, so if you're looking at the film side of things, Mookie Harris was kind of an interesting one. I caught some segments of him in high school, and his coaches were saying that he was the most talented dude they'd ever played or coached, but he dictated when he would turn the light on and off, right? And if you look at his Arkansas State film, it's much like when you see Ladarius Webb Jr., even though you're like, okay, Ladarius Webb's coming from the JUCO background. His dad is an NFL ball player who played 9 years with the daggone Ravens. So the pedigree's there, right? And he's a beast. He's a flying missile. He's not worried about, mishitting on a route. He's not worried about, missing on press coverage, because he can make it up with a massive, massive amount of tenacity, which we've already kind of hinted to. That's what you're seeing the most out of this recruiting class and the transfer portal. We're getting guys who need a lot of work, but have what you can't coach. You can't coach size, you can't coach speed all the time. You can't coach tenacity. Some dudes want to shove your face in the ground and let you know that it's going to be a long game from the first snap. And some guys just rely on athletic abilities. So the good ones are the rare birds that do both. They have the insane athletic ability, but also have that size, strength, speed, and toughness that you can't teach. You cannot teach somebody to want it more than everybody else. You just can't, right? That's what we're getting a lot of, whether it be transfers or high school. The difference is the transfers we're getting, they've already been doing this for a while. So they get it. They can fit in. They can get in. And they're going to represent very, very well. So we are capitalizing on this transfer market, the one little thing that Gundy said he doesn't really like to do. And I think that's honestly taken a little bit out of context, right? Because let's think about it. What Gundy said wasn't necessarily the most groundbreaking thing. He does like to develop. We do like to develop. That's something that Oklahoma State University is a little bit different than some other places. You saw Mel Tucker, though, prove it at Michigan State that you can fill a squad with a bunch of transfers and it immediately pay dividends. You can have a revitalized, revamped, rebuilt transfer style of team that is ready and able to play for titles. We, again, haven't had a mass exodus. We've lost 3 big-time starters, Mason Cobb, Spencer Sanders, and, of course, the most recent was Jabbar Muhammad. But, again, fill the need. And we've talked about Brandon Armstrong. Brandon Armstrong, the quarterback from Virginia, the all-time Virginia quarterback yards leader in the history of their university. It looks like he was coming to the Wisconsin bowl game because it was down to us in Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin just maybe got their guy. So it would lead me to believe that if Armstrong is still somebody that Gundy really, really wants to bring in, and with Wisconsin already picking up their next quarterback, then the writing should be on the wall that if we're looking to fill that need as well, Brandon Armstrong can do that. And they're carbon copies of each other, Spencer Sanders and Brandon Armstrong. The only difference is Brandon Armstrong is a lefty, same fire, same passion, same competitiveness, same level of speed, elusiveness, RPO capabilities. The biggest difference for me with Brennan Armstrong and Spencer Sanders is Brennan loves to throw it deep, and he's very good at it. Spencer Sanders, right, the only issue with his deep ball is it's always hung up. And it when you have a Tay Martin, when you have a Tyler Wallace, when you have a Jaden Bray, or even somebody like that we just brought in from Washington State, Stribling, we're going to be able to, again, replicate and roll. Every single thing that we've lost, we've replaced with equal value for the most part, right? And so if you're looking for that quarterback domino to fall, I'm still very high on Garrett Rangel. But bringing in competition does nothing but strengthen everybody's game. I get that. I feel that. I'm with that. So if we're going to go that route, it appears as though Brennan Armstrong is somebody that we can bring in. But the beauty of all of it is, to me, again, more than anything, is bringing JT back. There were times on film this year, uncharacteristically, you saw Jason Taylor II, for lack of a better term, maybe not give up on a play, but not give as much effort as traditional. So again, we know some things throughout the entirety of this season did kind of cause a little bit of dissension in the locker room. There was a little bit of animosity to some degree, and you're seeing some of that. You're not seeing a mass exodus like we talked about. 90% of the dudes that we've had leave so far are dudes that either couldn't get on the field due to injuries or depth, right? Guys that are pretty talented but could never, ever get above the number 2 spot. So again, we're not losing a lot, but the biggest thing is what we're filling. And having somebody like Jason Taylor II, the no doubt leader of the D now, coming back, he sees the talent surrounding him. I'm sure he knows that in the back of his head, if it was up to Dre Rucker and Lyric Rawls and somebody like a Sean Michael Flanagan, you hear a lot of good things about the Kelvin Beeman. You hear a lot of good things about DJ McKinney. We've seen Cam Smith get out there and feel the ropes out and prove that he's capable. So we didn't necessarily maybe need that, and he knows that. So him coming back, to me, gives a much better indication of what's going on behind closed doors. The talent is unmistakable. And to have that presence, that leadership coming back with this amount of talent, if we can continue to fill a couple more spots here and there, next year's going to be, again, a very, 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 very high expectation level. And it should be. Yeah, I just, I have to say this is not even close, in my opinion, hands down, the best we have ever used the transfer market. Remember, we would get the guy that had a lot of talent but just needed a little bit more of a springboard, like a Tyler Patmon. even a Christian Holmes. We would kind of a Michael Hunter from Indiana. We'd bring these guys in, but it wasn't a lot. And now you're seeing us hammer this transfer year very, very, very well. Again, filling needs. We're not just getting dudes to get dudes. We're getting dudes that fill a specific need, and they all have one thing in common that I can find thus far, and that's every one of them are there to do damage, to smash people's faces in. I just can't. I can't put it into words how refreshing it is to see this shift. Again, I've said the other day, I think it's a little bit of it's a bold move, Cotton, by Gundy, this late in the game, to be hyper-focused on just the tenacity level of it. Again, I liken it to the Les Miles era, where we didn't have this level of talent. We didn't have this level of depth. But what we had was that street fighter mentality. We're going to bring the lunch pail and go to war. There is direct correlations in sports and war. There always has been, right? Especially from like the combat side of things, boxing, grappling, wrestling. Going back for a long time, a lot of tribes, I guess you could say, or cultures, they used games, sports games, as like war preparation. The mental toughness, the ability to deal with adversity, to adapt on the fly, to overcome, to use your body to be more of a ready-made weapon. So again, when I say this stuff, it's because there is some tangible ties, right? Another tangible tie that we should all pay attention to is our cash dollars. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting, info, news, stats, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season madness to basketball to this crazy, wild, wacky World Cup that it has been. We've got you covered at betonline.net. And if you love podcasts, obviously we're going to have you covered there as well. Head to the website today. We're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. You can also use your mobile device to learn more. Bet on the line. It is where the game starts. And here in Locked On Oklahoma State, we're just going to point you in the right direction. So again, filling these roles, filling these needs. Anthony Goodlow was, obviously widely viewed as a 4-star for this little transfer market here. And when we had Justin Wright on the show, you could tell that it was obviously Anthony Goodlow was weighing Oklahoma State, but you could tell he was very highly enamored with USC. He was very high on the fact that he had UCLA on his heels pretty hot and heavy. Clearly, TCU went for broke on Anthony Goodlow. So we were able to fend off a lot of these big-time programs when at one point in time, it really kind of looked like he was leaning towards the USC type of route. So to get him is massive. If you want to see a Trace Ford clone with a little bit of a Tyler Lacey in him, this is your guy. This is the dude. This is the one who most of us were most high on, including myself. As soon as you heard that Trace Ford was going, you knew that somebody like Anthony Goodlow could provide instantaneous playing time. And maybe not more, I don't know, I guess, no, you would say more ability, because Trace Ford, again, he was just too injured. He was too injured at his time in Stillwater. So you knew getting somebody like an Anthony Goodlow would be an immediate upgrade in playing time. It just is what it is. And now you have somebody to help Colin Oliver not have to stress so much. We're still going to need to find some guys in interior, although I find it good news that we haven't heard anything from Sam Tuialamaka. We haven't heard anything from Sione Asi. Those guys are options for another COVID year. Aiden Kelly's ready to pick up. Deshaun Brown's ready to kind of do more. Colin Clay is one of those catalysts for bringing this thing back. So we're looking good. We're looking very, very good. Next season should have everybody pumped. Even if we do fill this quarterback hole that some people kind of want us to do, Brennan Armstrong's a safe bet. Grayson McCall, very safe bet. I guess you could argue Devin Leary's safe bet, even though I don't know. I would go Armstrong, honestly. His throw it deep mentality is what we've been lacking. And look at these receivers. Could you imagine Stephon Johnson Jr. and Jaden Bray and Zon Stribling going up for these 50-50 balls that have a little bit more depth on them, have a little bit more accuracy, instead of always just having to come back on your route? If you lead that receiver a little bit more, it makes high pointing a little bit more easier. So I'm beyond excited. It's absolutely crazy how Gundy's talked about not being big in the transfer market, yet right now, right here, we are all up in it, and we're doing very well with it, and we appreciate you, Gundy. Jason Taylor II, we cannot wait to have you back to lead Kendall Daniels and Lyric Rawls and Trey Rucker and Cam Smith, to Kelvin Beeman and DJ McKinney. We are going to be just fine. Cameron Epps is a big get. Cam Franklin, go check out his highlight. We'll get to him. Don't worry. We've got, again, multiple shows today. Got a little catching up to do. So I wanted to fire these out in rapid succession while also doing my fatherly Christmas shopping duties. So I will be back for another one. And we'll kind of talk a little bit more about some of the other positions, including, again, this news about Mook Harris. Kenneth Mook Harris, it's worth diving into some of his Arkansas State stuff because I think Ladarius Webb Jr. feels that tenacity that, as Matt Campbell would say, chew your kneecaps off, right? We need some of that. We need a lot of that. And that's what we're getting. All of the O-line, every single O-lineman we're bringing in right now or should be bringing in, whether it be transfer or high school, their mean streak is insanity. And we dang sure definitely expect somebody with Cooper's amount of talent to come from Texas State and be able to transition immediately, which should do nothing but make Caleb Etienne better. Cole Birmingham's going to be chomping at the bit, ready to go. Preston Wilson's ready to run it back. We're going to be able to move some of the tackle and guards. Maybe that's something that Etienne flourishes at. Maybe we could put him at right guard. Maybe we bump Birmingham inside. Regardless, these transfers are phenomenal. Look at Sean Tyler. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Are we looking to fill a gap? Absolutely, obviously. And it's a bigger gap, in my opinion, than a Dominic Richardson because we already have power guys in DeAndre Jackson and Ollie Gordon. Now we have another lightning guy that was, we thought maybe could be C.J. Brown, but instead we brought in Sean Tyler, who's ready-made, already knows what to do, how to do it. Physicality-wise, he's squared away. Film study, he knows what to look for. So, yeah, guys, these gaps that we're filling are just beyond phenomenal. It's so much fun. It's a great time. So, let me hear from you in the comments. Who's another recruit or transfer that you really, really, really want to get? Who's the next guy on y'all's list to really shoot for? What's the biggest domino you're hoping to see drop? I mean, heck, that could even be somebody like, I don't know. Some of the recruiting for Jelani McDonald scares me. Would it be a good get? Yes. The way he's been toying with people, I'm loving it here. I might commit here. That kind of bothers me a little bit. But from a talent perspective, we like talent. We like what we see. So, for not loving the transfer market, Gundy, continue to not love it because you're on to something with this one, fellas. You guys are on to something with this one, and I can't wait to see what other dominoes fall because we got more big news coming. It's crazy. We went from 78th in recruiting to now we're going to be scratching on the door of the 40s range. Again, is it the biggest thing in the world to write home about? Not necessarily, but when we just went from almost number 80 to cracking past 50, moving on the 45 style range, that's huge. It's huge for us, and we're going to continue to do more. So I'm more than excited for this transfer market. I would say this is easily the best transfer market Gundy's been able to kind of put together. So hats off to you, sir. Kudos. Continue to do what you're doing. There's stuff working in the background when it comes to coaching, which is how we're able to pull this off. So I can't wait for some of that news to come out. We've got a few more players set to join the shows as well as previous players. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming, guys. We're just going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to keep this thing growing. Let me hear you in the comment section. Again, my name is Cody Stovall. You can find me at All Day O State on Twitter, O State All Day on Facebook. I also have Instagram as well. I think that's really all we got. Thank you very much for making this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. And as always, I love you all. God bless. Go Pokes. And I will see y'all again here in a couple hours. because we're gonna crank some stuff out today, y'all. All right.